Hey, I don't have a can to pop. I got water. We stay hydrated, baby.
There you go.
We staying hydrated out here. Oh, lordy, what a developing turn of events, huh?
Matt, I know how you're doing. Ryan, how are you doing?
I got glue on my fingers. Building Imperial Guard.
So
Did
it
something
sounds like things are
happen
going
with
well.
Custodians? Something?
You know, I think
Is the
so.
Emperor in danger?
I wanted to take today to talk about all the orc stuff because I'm excited for orcs.
Oh yeah.
But then,
Hell yeah.
I took a little glance at the Custodes subreddit, and it's on fire over there.
Yeah.
That place is in shambles.
Looking at the subreddit in general is usually a bad idea for any faction, but yeah, that one had a nuke go off in it.
Yeah. So what we have right now is a situation that is worse than the AdMech codex subreddit was when that codex dropped. It's worse than, Tyranids when that codex dropped. It's worse than Necrons were pre-codex drop. It sucks. It's really bad. So, for a little bit of background, as is tradition, the contents of the upcoming codexes has already leaked, because that just happens every time. We're not going to be talking about the exact leaks. We're not going to get too into the weeds. We're not going to show anything. We're not going to share sources. But we will talk about kind of general reactions to everything. Keeping in mind that we don't know points, we don't know data sheets, we don't know data slate info. But for Custodes, with the rules that have come out, none of that shit probably matters. It still sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, just for context for newer viewers, I own probably, I'd say like 3,000 points of Custodes painted, and I'm sitting on like another 4 that are kind of in the hopper. So this is a faction that is, it's not my primary, but I do really enjoy that like hyper elite gameplay that they provided, and I played them.
Put them on the table a good bit.
Yeah. I played them. I think I did a little bit of them in 8th, but I really started to play them more in 9th, and they have been very interesting to play in 10th. It is that is a faction that, long story short, they are probably never going to be able to balance correctly. It's either
it's an army that lives and dies by the balanced data slate.
Oh my god, dude, absolutely.
It's a hard one to balance because it's so hyper elite. It's always gonna be tough.
Absolutely. I would rank it up there with balancing issues, and like it's got like a weird reputation because of how big of a just raw stat check it is. It in my opinion is on the same level as like how the hell do I deal with this for like a new player or a casual player as on the level of knights, right? Like it is just that severe of a like, oh, this is very different from shooting a space marine. This is radically different from shooting a space or fighting a space marine and all that stuff. So like I sympathize to the people writing these rules, and I think that's the only bone I can throw them. I want to get that up front. That's the only bone I can throw these.
So what bones do you have to pick with them?
Oh, dude. So I feel like 10th has put me in this spot a few times, because you remember when Death Guard dropped, right?
The Death Guard index was terrible, yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. So this keeps happening. But Death Guard are actually very enjoyably playable right now, I would say.
After they changed the army rule.
Yeah, they had to literally add... It's like 4 fucking paragraphs of rule stapled on top to the detachment, not the army rule, to the detachment rule too. So who knows what's going to happen in our codex. And they played with the points to a shocking amount to where characters are able to do things that you really wouldn't expect them to do. But anyway, this isn't a Death Guard thing. I say that to say they keep doing this with armies, but they also keep eventually pulling them out of the gutter. And I think the metaphor that I keep landing on is some army in the 25 at some point has to be wearing the gimp suit, and everyone else is able to like exist like in a normal world. But there's always going to be that one that's just like stuck like that. Right now it's AdMech. I'm sure AdMech are going to probably become pseudo horde mode with points modifications unless they go back into the data slate again. But it's about to be Custodes. And dude, the orc, it makes me so sad because the orc book looks so friggin' cool, dude. Like it looks like a fun army to even play against.
Dude,
it
orcs,
looks wild.
orcs
Yeah.
look nuts. Like what? May 2nd is going to be our first game after the new codexes come out, right?
Correct,
No,
yeah.
no, the 29th. Duh. Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah,
April
yeah,
29th.
okay. Yeah.
That's gonna be the first game, and I'm gonna bring the Stompa again, and I'm gonna play
My
that Dread detachment because that looks fucking nuts.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
every
Orc
single one
Codex
of those
is gonna-
detachments.
It's gonna make me dust my orcs off and get them worked on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
And
That's
so
cool.
it's like, you look at the Orcs Codex and you look at the Custodes Codex, and you would think that these two books were written by two completely different companies, two rules teams that don't talk to each other, which is probably accurate. Oh, you got a little doggy behind you.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Look at her.
she's crying a little.
Yeah,
bit.
what is
You're gonna hear her, you can
Carmela
see her.
think of the custodians?
She thinks that the ball needs to be buffed, and anything that's not the ball needs to be nerfed. And the game should just
Okay.
be about how well you can chase the ball. Is what she.
Based, yeah.
Based in ball
respect.
tilt.
But yeah, you look at those two books that are coming out together, look at them next to each other, and Orcs somehow they managed to be incredibly like wildly fluffy as an army, and also there's some decently competitive shit mixed in there.
yeah.
You look at Custodes, and there's some like cool fluffy stuff. Like I think the Null Maiden Vigil. I'm glad that detachment exists in theory, but it's really fucking bad.
It's a lore detachment, right? Like it does some really cool stuff, but unless you are fighting demons or Grey Knights or Thousand Suns, it is like 90% whiff, dude.
So I think it's 95% whiff, because so the rule is like you have like a 12-inch aura, right, where enemy units have to take battle shock if they're below starting strength or a psyker, and they get -1 to that if they're below half. Sisters don't want to be within 12 inches of anything for the most part, so that's probably not gonna matter most of the time.
The only saving grace is I think you can do some really dirty shenanigans with rhinos, because they have their own rhino that I think has all the sister buffs. So it's basically like
You use rhino torpedoes.
Yeah, you're juggling big brain rhino torpedoes around the board, and that's how you're giving the buff. That's like the only way to play that army, but that's not lore friendly. And
No,
this whole
that's
thing
stupid.
That's stupid.
That's dumb
It
as
doesn't
fuck.
make it. It's, and that's one of our 4 detachments, homie. Look
Four
at the
four
table of
detachments.
blows my fucking mind. How many orc detachments are there? I want to say there's 6 or 7. Right?
I think there's 6.
And they all are standing on their own. I don't think there's a stinker yet, dude. Like
No,
the
they
Speed
all look
Freaks one
rad.
looks bonkers. Yeah, it's all
Speed
great.
Freaks, the Green Tide.
Yeah,
Green Tide, dude. 120 boys. Are you ready?
it's absolutely bonkers. So the fact that these books are going to be on the shelf next to each other is like it's a joke, right? it's crazy.
It's a late April Fool's joke.
Yeah, I guess so.
what was the
Diablo 3 all over.
Blizzard thing? Yeah, what is this, an out of season April Fool's joke?
Oh,
It's
was it
crazy.
Diablo Immortal or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, for a few of them.
I guess with the Talons of the Emperor thing, you're supposed to like guard the sisters with custodians and have them close, but like you know,
So
What's
Talons
the word I'm trying to
Talons
think
is
of?
like just a worse shield host.
yeah.
It's a worse current shield host. New shield host was completely rewritten. Also bad. It's basically a Custodes Wa. So
I hate that too. From a lore perspective, they make 0 sense, dude. Like with an orc thing, like there's so much lore backing up that like psychic wave that goes out and frenzies them up, right? For they're trying to scrap it and everything. Why do the Custodes do that? Why is that happening with someone who's supposed to stand on his own, the 10,000 heroes? You know, like That makes 0 sense. Anyway,
They get amped up once per game.
right? Yeah, they all telekinetically interlock each other and are able to. It's not good.
So like, I like Talons of the Emperor from like a fluff perspective. I think it's cool. No Maiden Vigil, I like the idea of it from a fluff perspective, but the execution is really bad. Shield Host, I have no good things to say about Shield Host. Orc Champions is the only one that seems even kind of competitive, and that's basically just the triple blade champ detachment.
That one, if I had to put it down on the table today, that's probably one of the ones that I would tinker with, and it would. I think I was talking to you about this last night. My current draft of it is literally 3 shield captains, 3 Alaris captains, 3 blade champions, and you're jamming these characters. Oh, the 2 named guys, Valerian and
Alea?
Yeah. No, you leave her out. Like she's useless. You don't bring
Valerian.
You don't bring Trajan. Trajan's the other
okay.
named one. Yeah. And you just put them in like 2 land raiders, and homie, you just hope for the best with all the buffs.
It's so weird.
It is bizarre. Like, it's not done.
So I know you have some thoughts about like that detachment specifically, as far as like fixing it, right?
Yeah. So that one, it really wants you to play characters, and it hypes up characters really hard, and
which is cool. It's like a cool hero hammer detachment in theory.
Exactly. And honestly, what a lot of dudes were basically doing is they were bringing as few Custodes characters as possible, except for their tricks, right? The Blade Champion gave you Advance and Charge, which was the threat bubble on that was massive. Trajan had the Fights First, which they took away. And then, if you guys can hear her whining, I apologize. We were playing earlier, and she's still like completely amped up. I don't know how loud it is. I'll kick her out if it's like obnoxious or anything. But
I get a little bit every now and then, but it's not too loud.
Okay.
To me, at least.
So, but basically, you would bring these characters as utility adds to what the blob was doing, and then otherwise, you wouldn't want to have a bunch of characters in there because they're so expensive, right? So, what this detachment does is it flips that on its head. In theory, when I was first reading it, I was reading it fast, and I was like, "Oh man, this one actually has some legs," because I thought it buffed units. It only buffs character models, and I mean. Dude,
yeah.
No.
In the command phase, and it's only against one enemy unit, right? So like, in the command phase, you pick one enemy unit, and friendly character models get +1 to wound against that one unit.
And I don't necessarily hate like a Custodes Oath type thing, right? Because it allows them to bat above their weight. It allows them to, do a. Oh my god, she's awful. So, I'm sorry, she's literally never done this before. If she keeps doing it, I'm just gonna close the door in a second. Anyway, it allows them to.
About these changes.
I know, man. I think she can hear it in my voice or something. It allows them to swing on stuff that shouldn't be scared of a little old Custodes guy, but that's lore accurate, and you're working around that. You're having to earn that in the rules and in the positioning and everything. That's cool. If it's actually going to work, though, it should probably be the unit. Like, I don't know, maybe you have to take the exact minimum or something for the unit to go off. That's going to be very wordy and blah. But if they just switched one word and had it be from models to units in that detachment rule, it would arguably be like one of the better codex detachments, I think, across the books, not including all the broken Necron shit, right?
Yeah.
So.
Sean, none of the strats are battle tactics. Every single one of them is an epic deed. Every single strat on that detachment is an epic deed.
And the reason why that's a big deal for y'all that are only playing against Custodes and not putting them on the table is the shield captains have a thing where they can use a free stratagem that is battle tactic, right? Because of how the balanced data slate mapped it all
FAQ.
out. Yeah. So this book has a bunch of signs on it that A, it's not really done, and B, they wrote it before all that balanced data slate stuff. Like, come on, man! Like this is obviously old text. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
a lot of this was like made. It seems like most of this was written before the last balanced data slate came out.
Yeah.
And so it like doesn't take a lot of that stuff into account.
Yeah.
I mean, I have heard that they plan things out way ahead of time, so it's possible.
Yeah, that's what I understand as well.
Yeah. It's weird. So like some of this is cool and fluffy. Some of it really makes me scratch my head. Like, what the hell's going on? I don't even play seriously in tournaments and stuff, right? I'm not wildly competitive at this game. But from my perspective, kind of from the outside looking into that world, none of this seems like even slightly competitive. Like, for better or worse, like, it doesn't feel like it's going to hold up in tournaments or anything. So, I don't know.
I agree. And so, like, we were kind of touching on a few of these points earlier. Like, the Chaos Knights faction, their detachment stuff is pretty lackluster, right? Like, they've got some, like, 5 out of 10 stratagems and stuff like that, but they really shine in just what you can do with them on the table as, like, a raw data sheet, essentially, running around. You know what I mean? And that's cool, and that's a good fix, but, like, it kind of... The synergy isn't necessarily there, in my opinion, just from what I've seen playing against them. I haven't put them on the table myself. I think this is going to result in how Custodes play for the rest of the edition, or at least until they, like, take a red pin to this book, basically.
So, I mean,
they're
all the hope Custodes players have right now is day one FAQ that basically rewrites the entire book, or this whole thing gets data slated fucking immediately. Or maybe there's some super secret tech that somebody will unlock at some point. I don't know. It's weird.
So there are a few, like, movement shenanigans things that people are, like, experimenting right now, and it's kind of interesting, but it's kind of like it's non-intuitive. It's not really they didn't intend for this to be like this. I'm sure there's going to be some combo out there that the reason why it works for, like, a specific tournament is going to be because it comes out of left field and a lot of people don't know how it works. And then once people know how to tech against that, Custodes are like, okay. Custodes had their ability to dodge mortal wounds taken away, and their percentage dropped, like, a shocking amount.
Well,
right?
dev wounds. They were blocking dev wounds because dev wounds were mortals.
Yeah.
Yeah, dev wounds ceased to be mortal wounds, essentially.
And that tanked them competitively. That one thing. So that's gone, as well as both instances of their fights first. I don't think there's a single thing of fights first that we've seen so far in the leaks and in the previews and the Warhammer Plus episode.
One of my notes here says Custodes are no longer fights first build.
Yeah, they don't have access to minus damage anymore, which was massive in keeping them alive when you were trying to run them up the board.
Was that a stratagem that did that?
That was a stratagem. It cost 2 CP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Arcane Genetic Alchemy is now what? It's a 4-up Field No Pain versus Mortals?
It's a -1 to hit for the phase.
Arcane Genetic Alchemy?
Or at least the -1 damage turned into -1 to hit. Arcane Genetic Alchemy is 4-up Feel No Pain versus Mortals. So it still doesn't help with devs. You're able to pretend to be Index Custodes for a phase for 1 command point. If you're
Custodes are going to get eaten alive by Mortals and devs now.
Oh yeah. It's so. I was, and I promise, guys, I'm not this salty of a dude usually. If anyone remembers how I was sounding with the Death Guard shit, they're going to fix this army in a very patchwork way. And if they do half as good of a job as they did with Death Guard, I will be very happy. However, I got a feeling that's not going to happen for 3 months probably, and Custodes just got to wear the gimp suit, right?
Yeah, and like Death Guard were Index, so it was easier to fix them.
Yeah.
Now, having a whole codex out, we haven't seen them make like sweeping changes to like the degree of Death Guard to any codexes, right?
Oh, correct. Yeah. So they're fixing typos usually. They're getting in there. Like, it's gonna be weird. Or Custodes are just gonna be shelved for a while, man. I don't know what's gonna happen. But
The only unit card we've seen is Trajan's, right? Because it was on the top of the stack.
That's the only data sheet that they have
Data
shown.
sheet.
Yeah.
yeah. However,
So
based
it's
on how some
possible
of the,
there could be stuff new
So-
on the data card, like squad abilities.
yeah, that's one of the things. I know a few of the leakers are also including text with these leaks, and they're saying like this data sheet's the same, blah blah blah, but we don't have photographic evidence of that. There is in the Null Maidens list. It says that prosecutors become battle line,
Which means
Currently-
they lost battle line. Yeah.
because currently they are battle line, and that's a good unit that we take. That's like our cheap unit basically. So that now sucks. And also, one of the stratagems to sticky an objective now requires battle line. Before it did not. So our sticky objectives got harder now all of a sudden too.
Yeah.
Right.
It's gonna be rough, but it's gonna be it's gonna be 3 months of shit, and then I'm sure they'll have it fixed.
I feel like they're leaning towards like undershooting on army, as opposed to risking overshooting. Ever since like the Votan and like the public apology they did for that. That's why, like,
they're super gun shy since then.
Yeah.
yeah, and so like sometimes they hit the mark. Like the Orcs seems like it's probably on mark, but for like a faction that's hard to balance like Custodians, it's more likely they're going to undershoot on that.
They're
Which
not
is
building a
unfortunate.
good, they're not building a good reputation for people getting excited about codex releases ever since AdMech, now Custodes, Dark Angels had to pay their pound of flesh, Tyranids, Space
Yeah.
Marines kinda, they because Oath of Moment used to be reroll wounds too, right? So they got licks, but that that unit set is just so massive. You're gonna be able to find a wombo combo in 3 different places, even if they pick up a few.
Yeah.
So people aren't excited for their books coming out, man. That's not a good sign. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm excited for
I'm
the
still
Orcs book.
excited.
Except the Orcs
I'm
book,
excited
yeah.
to see what Chaos Marines does after what little bit they talked about it.
Yeah.
But
I
I hope.
I think as long as CSM's army rule stays the same, then they'll have play still. But we'll see, because they
Yeah.
changed the Custodes army rule.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh yeah. So you know how we have the karate steps, Ryan? I'm not sure if you're up to
yeah.
date on. Yeah. So
I'm vaguely familiar with how it works from playing.
yeah.
it,
So
but,
the
yeah,
one
go ahead.
defensive version is -1 to hit, right? And that's really big for Custodes in a melee clapback. That's gone now. So now they only have 2 modes to choose from, but you can pick a mode for each unit. You don't have to army-wide lock. However, if you look at the text in the kata, it talks about how they're able to do all these varied fighting styles, of which now there are only 2. So
All
like,
2
it
of
doesn't-
them.
Yeah, all 2 of massive
How many did you
variants
used
of
to have?
fighting.
3.
So in 9th edition,
only
it
3?
was like 6.
Yeah, there were a
Okay,
bunch
that's
in
what I'm
ninth.
remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cards
I'm
and everything
remembering
too.
a stack of katas, and I'm just like, I don't know what that is.
There was like Dakatarai and like whatever the fuck. They all had
Yeah,
names.
dude. Oh my
Yeah.
god. It's really fun.
Question.
So you only have
Thoughts?
2
thoughts?
options now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Lethal
thoughts
and
on compare and contrasts for what we know of Custodes versus AdMech. So I'm assuming this is like with the codex releases. They are both similarly bad. Both of them released with a really mediocre model. Yeah, I don't. It's hard to like quantify that kind of stuff. They're both just, they don't look good. AdMech looked like shit when they came out. Still in the gutter, to be fair. Custodes look like shit right now. We'll see when the next balance data slate comes out if they do anything to fix AdMech. But like their army rule only works for like half the book. There's all sorts of problems with the admech stuff. Yeah, they're both rough, unfortunately. There's not really a whole lot of contrast besides, like, obviously they're very different armies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say that the Custodes community reaction has been much worse than the admech community reaction.
Oh, all right. So Custodes are a divisive faction, and they've got a reputation, and that reputation kind of feeds itself, and they were really good for major chunks of 10th edition, except for that one time where they, like, completely got tanked. Hold on, she's leaving. All right, talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to get this friggin' crybaby out of here. All right, hold on.
Okay.
All right.
But, yeah, all right, Matt's gone. Let's talk shit about Custodes.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, fuck
it's about
Custodes.
time they get nerfed. Yeah.
World's smallest violin, baby. Oh shit! Wait. It's wireless. Oh, it's wireless. Shit.
Man, we just got hacked. That's the craziest thing. Someone hacked our stream and said a bunch of weird shit. How about that?
So,
yeah,
the community for the Custodes subreddit is. It's rough, man. Those guys are high in their own farts most of the time. The lore backs them up, getting high in their own farts, and so it gets memeified, and then people start drinking the actual memes and having that non-ironic idea of a thing. And I mean, Ryan, you told me about the Night Lord subreddit. That place is like Bizarro World too, right?
It can get weird sometimes.
Well, that's that's like for a sub faction of an army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People can get like really polarized on some things in there.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, like in my experience, the Dark Eldar subreddit is like one of the most positive places.
Yeah. So it helps when you start thinking about like the kind of players that you know that play those armies, right? And so typically admech players are much more like dudes into the lore. They don't necessarily give a shit about being hyper competitive for the most part. We're not going to talk about Richard Siegler. But then you look at most Custodes players, and at least in my experience, a lot of Custodes players are just like hyper competitive, always trying to keep up with the meta and shit. And so that explains why the reactions are so much different. A lot of the admech players are like, damn, these rules suck. I'm going to build 27 chickens.
I mean,
and then like
anytime
people
you
are
go on
coming
a
into that
subreddit.
Reddit.
Yeah. I mean,
anytime you go on a
subreddits
you
are...
need to,
Yeah.
You need to take a big grain of salt with you.
Subreddits are just like big echo chambers. And, you know, whoever has the loudest voice, the most upvotes, like, that's the sentiment that's going to be echoing throughout the whole subreddit. It is kind of comparable to what happened with Dark Angels. I still think that like this is worse than Dark Angels. A lot of people in the Dark Angels community were still like, all right, hold on, let's see, we can put these pieces together in a way that's going to work.
Well, you guys did get that one boat combo, right? There was like one boat combo, yeah, with Dark Angels that was crazy as hell.
Oh, I don't know.
It was something with the Storm Raven. It was the reason why you couldn't find a Storm Raven anywhere because people were running double or triple Storm Ravens, and it was like...
I've never seen articles about that, but I don't know enough about Dark Angels to know what it was.
It's the reason why Storm Ravens are about to like double in points. But unintended, right? So it's going to be one of those weird unintended combos that's like, okay, now no one can buy Venerable Dreadnoughts because of what Custodes was able to do with this typo on page 905 of, you know, their stupid codex. Although it's only like 40 pages.
Yeah.
Because we have 18 data sheets and 4 detachments.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the Doom posting from Dark Angels is pretty wild. I mean, I still think that the Custodes Doom posting is way worse. It's crazy because you'll see like 90 fucking Doom posts, and then somebody will be like, is it really that big of a deal? And then every fucking reply is, yes, this sucks. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. It's really funny.
Yeah.
And like Custodians haven't been making a whole lot of friends lately, so there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, you
I
mean
feel like
get
that's
to
just
drink
been
those tears
the
now?"
whole time. I feel like they've just never been making friends, right? Even since they came out.
Pretty much, yeah. It's
yeah.
wacky, dude. I think that on a greater level, this makes me nervous for future books coming out because if I had to guess what happened, they probably have a team A and a team B, and they split up the factions between them, and one of them is doing a great job, and one of them does not submit their homework on time, and so these books are like half done. Like, I'm sure that this was doing fine in draft environments that they were testing this on. This codex doesn't feel done, right? Like it's got old rule sets and not fixes that happened like very early at the start of 10th.
It has 4 detachments, dude.
It has 4
What the fuck?
That is not what exactly. What the fuck? It has. Dude, it's rough. Like I'm kind of blown away that this is what's going on, and you can see where they just moved stuff around. So they're kind of like splitting things around, like the enhancement where you can fall back, shoot, and charge, and everything. That's a really good one. And they've like, I'm sure the points have changed on it. I'm sure the eligibility to use it has changed. All this other stuff, but they're only pruning, and they're not even doing a good job of that. They're not putting anything back in besides all the weird sister shit, right? That being said, I think there's some wacky stuff that you can do with this army. What's the one Talons of the Emperor? I think what's going to happen is you're going to take the bare minimum amount of sisters, maybe the flamers, because the flamers have a little cute trick that they can do. And you're going to bring as many sisters rhinos as you can, and those sisters rhinos are going to be parked behind Custodes to trigger all of the combined arms effects.
It's like, when you sit down and you start thinking about how you're going to play these detachments, you start to realize that like they're not going to function. Either they're not going to function at all, or they're not going to function the way that you know the people writing it intended. The combined talons, you wanted to do something cool. It's not really gonna do much of anything. Like
inches, I think. So
Custodes within 6 inches get a 5-up feel no pain versus psychic immortals when they're near sisters. Sisters get +1 to hit when they're within 6 inches of Custodes. Your sisters, if they're within 6 inches of like Custodes guys, they're just gonna get shot off the board like immediately. So all of this stuff is just never gonna happen.
So like. My head goes to, okay, if I'm stuck trying to make this work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the little, what are they called, chump boxes, where you're 1.1 inches away from the walls on inside ruins, right? You do that with the sisters, and then the Custodes have to live in the front garden of that ruin for like 4.5 inches of aura that actually sticks through the terrain. And that's dumb, dude. Like, that isn't going to play right, and it's going to be really weird and constraining.
When you have to get really gamey to make a detachment function, then there's problems.
It's like that detachment gives you like a painful escort quest.
It is literally an escort quest
to get most of how you used to play back. Oh, you'll get your 5-up back. It used to be a 4-up, so you
versus
get
psychic and mortals. Hey, at least it's also psychic, right?
That's true,
right?
Yeah.
Is their 4-up feel no pain completely gone?
Yeah. Wait, no, it's in a stratagem now.
Yeah, but it's still just mortal wounds. Their 4-up versus devs is completely gone. They have no access.
I mean, like the only way to get it versus mortals is with a stratagem now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So Custodes.
My brain finally caught up with you guys saying that a few times previously, and I was like, some part of my brain was like, yeah, that's not right. That can't be right.
Custodes were previously, like, currently, are like a brick wall. They are a stat check army. They're gonna lose that when the codex comes out. So they're not gonna be. Like they're just gonna die.
Yeah, they are.
They have like a 2-up save, and then do they have an invulnerable baked in?
They have a 4-up invuln. Yeah.
The vast majority of their inventory is a 4-up invuln.
I mean, at least currently.
That's a good point. We haven't seen the data sheets.
We haven't seen the data sheets. No clue.
So there's some pretty key elements in those data sheets that are very important. The wardens with the 4-up, feel no pain for everything once per game in a single phase. That we became very familiar with in our Custodes versus World Eaters game. If y'all want to see that in action, go ahead and check that out. It happens like turn 1 because that charge was
Yeah.
The entire reason why Trajan lived was because of that. The ability to revive a single Custodes model in a unit once per game is gone. I'm trying to think what other tech is in there. We don't know if the Custodian guards still have their reroll wounds when they're standing on an objective. Stuff that's really important. It's gonna be weird, man.
One Nintendo player talking about like the Rhino thing. Currently the assumption is that the Rhinos will have the Anathema Psychona keyword. Don't know that for sure.
I'm on hopium right now.
if they don't, when the codex comes out, there's going to be even bigger issues. But currently, like, you're going to have a Custodes list that also just has sisters rhinos with sisters inside them because they have to. And those sisters are those rhinos are just going to become missiles and like wandering force fields. It's so dumb.
Missiles. Yeah, they currently have it, but yeah, a lot. We're gonna have to see like the unit cards because there's a lot of things that they could do with those.
Yeah. So like the bit we touched on it at the beginning, but like big questions right now: points, data sheets, and balance data slate. We don't have any of that information currently.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's going to change much. I can't imagine things are going to get better when those things come out.
So I actually just
like their whole
Sorry, go ahead.
Their whole philosophy with 10th edition was that like the data cards weren't going to change, right?
That went out the window immediately.
Yeah, I know it did, but like, are they still trying to even remotely stick to that?
I think.
I don't know.
Maybe. We'll find out because you know what? I've got a feeling a lot of the custodian data cards are going to be the exact same. Whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Here's one thing that maybe they accidentally buff us on. One of the things that we got hit by is you couldn't take 10-man bricks of infantry. So like the 10-man brick of infantry, custodian guard, the 10-man brick of wardens, you couldn't do that after they had went back and they were like, that's too much meat. No, stop it. And so you could only take them in packs of 4 or packs of 5 because of how their box is cut up. If this book got written when I think it got written, then it's probably still 10 packs of meat. So that's going to come back. And if they get cheap enough, then it's like, oh, the detachment sucks, but homie, that's 10 boys, 3 wounds, 4s on shields, 2 up save, 4 up invuln, and they're T6. So like, here comes the Roman Legion. Exactly. Yeah. So that may be a stealth buff that they accidentally left in there, and that's like, dude, I'm reaching for the farthest straws right now. Like I'm grasping.
Yeah, because the unit sizes are on the unit cards, not in the books, really.
Yeah, and it used to be 10, then it got.
I mean, so I think some of the data sheets could get changed pretty significantly, because maybe we'll talk about it next week. But a good amount of the Orcs data sheets got changed pretty significantly.
Oh, no. Okay.
So like boys got buffed. The Squig Hog boys, the knob is now just part of the unit instead of being a character. And the like beast boss is now a character that attaches to the unit and got slightly nerfed to like bring it into line with that kind of stuff. But yeah, so there is a chance that some of the data sheets get changed pretty significantly. Granted, Custodes don't have as many data sheets as an army like Orcs. But the chance is there. There is some hopium left to be huffed.
I mean, it would make sense for any faction to have like a thick-ass data sheet for Custodians to be it, because they're like supposed to be the cream of the crop.
The thickest of the thick.
If anyone's gonna have a paragraph of awesome text, it's gonna be them. But currently they're
has the Custodes like codex like points list not leaked yet?
Not yet,
because the Orcs one has. Interesting.
Oh, if it leaked, I know around lunchtime today is when I wasn't able to. I kind of stopped looking because it was making me sad, so I had to turn it in.
Actually, I might check the Gene Stealer Cult subreddit. Fun fact: if you guys want leaks, go to the Gene Stealer Cult subreddit.
Yeah. Apparently they're leaking like the Titanic, dude. Shit's crazy.
So conspiracy theory mode, the Orc one got leaked. There's been people who've said that the leaks are like on purpose by GW. If they
that's
know they need to
100%
fix
true.
the custodians, if they know they need to fix the custodians, that would explain why only the Orcs have been leaked so much.
Maybe.
The custodians have been leaked more than Orcs.
So
you said the Orcs had all their unit cards, right?
No. Just a couple of them.
Warhammer Plus did a battle report with the 2 new codexes versus each other, and so a lot of people are able to glean from those because they would flash the cards up on the screen whenever they were using those.
Yeah,
so that's how we
that'd be a
know.
huge insight.
Yeah, it is. It's basically it's supposed to get you hyped, but people were able to piece together all the flash cards that come up and be like, hey. This detachment is like amputated and stinking. Hopefully, Orc Champions is good. Wait, Orc Champions sucks too. What the fuck is a null?
Yeah, they like showed off the one, and everybody's like, "Man, that sucks. Maybe the other 3 will be okay." Oh no! Oh god! Oh fuck! They're all bad.
Yeah. So another thing that Custodes might have going for them is
let's take a minute and just talk about all of the hopium that Custodes have left.
The Forge World data sheets are not getting touched, and that is consistent with how everything has been. Now, their Forge World tanks are devious, and they do not currently have a way to get sustained hits 1. This shield host will allow them to get, I think, sustained hits 1 and crits on 5s up. And they've got some like Archaeotech super las cannon stuff on some of those tanks. It's not the Ares gunship, it's the Orion gunship. Has a thing. It's able to carry like 12 infantry, right? You could put 12 characters in that thing. Now, here's the thing that the Orion gunship lets you do. As long as the unit jumps out before the Orion gunship moves, that unit is able to advance and charge. So basically, you could like have a bunch of Custodes characters just like Naruto running from this one mothership thing that you put right in the middle of the table. And the guns on the mothership are actually dirty as hell. So it's 700 points, but I think it'll come out of left field. Dude, it's crazy. The Orion gunship is...
Oh yeah, what do Venatari do right now?
Venatari are deep striking. They can rapid ingress for free. You can tech them for button pushing, or you can tech them for like almost an Inceptor level of aggro.
Okay. So Venatari could still be pretty good.
Yeah, so Venatari are good durable button pushers. Alorus Terminators also fill a similar role with their up-down. We'll see if they keep the up-down or if the up-down changes in any way. It's going to be interesting. I think no matter like the worst case scenario, their win rate's probably going to go. I don't think it'll get below 40. I would be shocked if it is above 42. Like I'm a betting man. I'm calling it now. That sucker's going to be no higher than 42, no lower than 40. If we get a 39, that's going to be really funny though. Anyway, it's going to be a majority Forge World army again, and you're going to bring like all the weird Forge World shit. And there you go. So
let's when the Custodes book drops, let's do first match Admech versus Custodes.
All right. I was the orc match, Orc versus Custodes would be interesting, but I think everyone now and watching then would know how that one goes.
Yeah. So 29th we'll do Orcs versus something. On May 6th we'll do Custodes versus Admech.
Sounds good. What was it called? A potato fight or whatever? Whenever
Pillow
those
fight. I don't know. Yeah.
Potato matchup.
Wet noodle fight.
Yeah. Oh man.
So you still got some hope in Forge World.
I got some hope in Forge
there's some
World.
potential hope in a day 1 FAQ/data slate. There's some potential hope in somebody unlocking some kind of secret tech.
a potential hope in the meat block. So they accidentally leave in. You can group them up to 10.
Yeah.
I think that has some play.
I don't think that like saves the army though.
Yeah, it probably just ends up being a noob stomper because like like a competitive army is going to know how to pick up 10 block of infantry no matter how tough they are.
Yeah.
Like I'm just thinking about the Death Guard, like anti-infantry 2-up wounding all their sprays and everything, and they're bringing those anyway. So Death Guard tech very nicely into Custodes again. Death Guard also have a fights first and a -1 damage.
Unit of Chaos Terminators would do some degenerate stuff to them now with their anti-infantry devastating wounds, combi weapons.
Yeah,
and all their rerolls that they can get and sustained and all that juicy stuff.
Yeah,
it's gonna be weird. I'm sure they're gonna fix it somehow. We're probably not like Custodes. That subreddit is gonna be malding for about a good, I would say 9 to 12 months, and there's no fixing it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be pissed for 9 to 12 months. I imagine Custodes are going to be competitive again after 3 months, but they're going to have to, go in the chump corner. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. We'll talk about Orcs probably next week. Because I don't want to rain on Custodes Parade right now. Or their funeral procession, I guess.
It is an interesting case study in how weird a codex can go. So, are you going to get the Orc treatment or are you going to get the Custodes treatment? Is what a lot of people are going to be asking every time.
And it seems like every time they get released in pairs, one of them's good and one of them's bad. So, like Space Marines and Tyranids, Space Marines slapped. Necrons and Admech, Necrons slapped.
So funny.
In this case, Orcs slap. So we'll see.
Yeah,
that's why I say play for fun, and I'm not particularly interested in playing for competitive. You know?
I don't normally play hyper competitive. Even when I go to tournaments, I don't take competitive shit.
Right. I think RTTs are like the last window for that. Like, everyone's bringing their best game, but you're really trying to do it with your favorite army, Like, if you look at some of the local RTTs, like what's crushing our area, it is not even close to some of the numbers that are being pulled, like on the greater scale. So the local
those
meta...
RTT metas are very local, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's where it gets fun, because everyone's still playing... They're trying to play very efficiently, but you're seeing some, like, crazy shit, Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I don't really have any more thoughts. I think we kind of covered everything.
Yeah.
Matt, Ryan, you'll have any more hot takes?
This simplifies my my painting scrambles. So now I'm just finishing up some demons, and then it's Age of Sigmar, baby. I've got to catch up to you. You're on a streak here,
dude. I can't stop. I can't stop painting AOS. I painted that dog today, and I posted that in the Discord. If you guys want to join the Discord, we're posting models and shit in there all the time.
Oh yeah, post your models on
talking about the news. Yeah, there should be a link to that in the description. And I think Monday we're gonna have a game of some kind. I don't know what we're gonna do.
It'll be one of the games of all time.
One of the games of all time.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I was thinking about the schedule in my head, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't actually know what's going on next week. We'll figure that out. The following Monday we're gonna do some more Horde mode because I know people are interested in that. And Warhammer is very close to hitting 100,000 subscribers, so that would be really cool if they're able to hit that by the time we do the stream.
Absolutely.
Next Thursday we'll talk about Orcs, and that's kind of what we got going on in the foreseeable future.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah. With that,
we got our 500-point tournament on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
One of these Thursdays we might have to do like an after action for each of us. I'm kind of curious to see how all that goes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably be posting about it on socials. I'll post about it in the Discord, post about it on Twitter and stuff. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to take some pictures of this happening.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it's gonna be cool.
Probably I'm not gonna have anything painted because it's been raining this entire week.
Rip.
Yeah.
It has been. I think it's raining right now.
It is.
Yeah.
That might be why Carmelo was crying so much, my corgi.
But yeah.
Oh.
I think that will do it for us here. You guys have a good night. Join us on Monday.
Hell yeah. Toodles.
Take it easy.